I must admit, this was a daggone good game all the way up to like with 11 and a half minutes left to go in the first half. 28-20. Jack State is down 1 score. They missed the field goal on the first touchdown that they got during the game. It was Jack State continue to keep fighting. But it's always the little things in the game that you must make sure that you have buttoned up when you're out there on the field playing. Because those small things are going to take you out of a game. They're going to get that game so far out of control. It's going to have you pulling your hair out. You're going to be out there mad as I don't know what. But you know what? This week, I'm sure Coach T.C. Taylor, head coach T.C. Taylor, and the Jackson State coaching staff is going to make sure this week is named Clean It Up. We're going to talk about it right after this. Favorite coach back at it again. 10 toes down, about to tell you how it all went down. This is Tomorrow Sports Network with your host, Coach Walker. If you're new to the channel, please like, share, subscribe. Hit that notification bell so you can get all upcoming videos. For all my leaders out there, welcome back. Y'all know the drill. Y'all know the routine. If you haven't done so already, please like, comment, and share these videos. And tap in a friend or two and tell them to come on in. It's nothing but positive vibes. We're just having a good time talking about HBCU sports. And don't forget, you can follow us on all social media platforms. The links are listed down below in the description. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get on in this thing. Because I know you're like, Coach, what's your thoughts on all this? Just give it to us straight. I got to admit one thing. Jackson State showed that they can get out there on the field and they can compete against some teams that's on a higher level. I got to give them their props on that. Head coach T.C. Taylor and the coaching staff, they did a pretty good job on getting everything prepared as far as with the athletes to go out there and compete against Texas State in this game. But the one thing they can't do for them, they cannot play for them. And like I stated, you hear me say this all the time, it's always the small things that can be fixed. And I'm sure they're going to resolve a lot of them small things this week because, boy, I'm not going to tell you no tale. Me personally, and I'm going to say it the way I would say it to my boys if they were standing before me right now, because I'm sure they probably had film that they went through today, and they probably might have like a light day tomorrow, probably get back to work on Tuesday. But I'm going to tell you this. There's nowhere in the world we're going to go out there and look like that ever again on special teams, defense, and a couple of times here and there, you know, they got a little discombobulated on offense. Because remember, I showed you guys a slide in the pregame when I gave you the keys as far as what they're going to do on offense and defense. I stated that they're going to hold off on blitzing that linebacker. They're going to let the offensive lineman go ahead and commit. That's going to give that linebacker a alley just to come straight on back there, get in that backfield and disrupt whatever it is they want to disrupt. Or they're overload over on the left or the right-hand side where they're bringing extra men. You got to understand, if it's 5 linemen up there and you got 7 defensive players coming across that line of scrimmage, somebody's going to get free unless somebody's out there one of the linemen that is able to block 2 men at one time. Or better yet, just throw somebody off course as far as making sure that, you know, you nudge them a little bit so that they take the long route to get to the quarterback. But Texas State was pinning their ears back so tough, getting back there in the backfield to just try to disrupt whatever they could against Jackson State. I like some of the moves that were made as far as when, you know, they would blitz like that. And, you know, you had the underneath plays that was working for Jackson State in the game. I just wish they would have did some additional things to continue to keep throwing Texas State off balance as far as with that defense. Because, like I said, there was times in the, you know, like in that first half, that first quarter and a half, where they had them a little thrown off, where they're like, wait a minute, we getting back here on these guys, but they're still moving the ball down the field. Too, especially on defense. When an offense shows you who they are, believe them. Why do I say that? One of the very first slides I showed was with the quarterback. You had the quarterback with the 2. You had the slot receiver on one side. You had the running back on the other side, in which the running back leaked out the backfield. He caught the touchdown pass in the Baylor game. Well, guess what they did? They just flipped the players. They put the running back on the left-hand side, put the slot back on the right-hand side, and they ran the same daggone play at Jackson State defense. But the thing was, when you had an opportunity to tackle him, you couldn't tackle the guy. So I'm like, guys, we can't get out there and act like we got a hit stick going on, because you trying to put your elbow into the guy to knock him down. you bumping him further to get more yards where you could have tackled him and probably stopped him from getting the first down. Or better yet, you bumping him with your arm, and guess what? You shoving him up the field from the continue to keep running because he's bouncing off somebody else to go ahead and keep doing his thing to get additional yards. Not only that, but that daggone running play, I told you with Ishmael, I think I might have his young man's name wrong. I think his name is Ishmael, but I stated that they're going to run that ball up the middle. Linebackers they have to be in the right place at all times. They got to be disciplined as far as with reading the plays and not just guessing a gap and go. That was one of the things that really killed Jackson State in their bad angles. You saw which way the play was going, but took bad pursuit angles to get there to try to tackle that running back from allowing him to get up the field. Not only that, but the edges, there was no type of resistance on those edges. If they got around the edge, they were out of there. It's like the edges was non-existent. And I mean, that showed up in the FAMU game as well. So, and a little bit in South Carolina State. So that's why I said a lot of those things, Jackson State got to get back to fixing that stuff this week to make sure everybody understands their assignments. You got to have your assignments. Understand this. Tendencies is everything. When you do things that's out of character and people catch those things on film, they will allow you to beat yourself in these instances. Jackson State had, like I said, they had great opportunities to continue to keep putting points up on the board. But again, you had the interception in you had the one interception in the first half. And then Jackson State had opportunities to get possessions back where they caused fumbles. And the crazy thing was the ball was just falling their way in this game. But, you know, like I said, look at that Texas State offense. You had Ishmael. That's the young man's name, Ishmael Mahadi. He rushed the ball 3 times for 77 yards. You had DeMarcus Good. He rushed the ball 11 times for 105 yards. And you had Malik Hornsby, who was the backup quarterback, rushed the ball 10 times for 133 yards. Those young men rushed the ball against Jackson State defense for almost 400 yards. And the crazy part about it was off the edge and up the middle. So those are some things that I'm sure the defensive coordinator, as well as head coach T.C. Taylor, is going to make sure those things are set, you know, get those things in order because they're playing Bethune-Cookman this weekend. And like I said, Bethune-Cookman would love nothing more than to come to Jackson, Mississippi and hang an L on Jackson State, say, hey, we knocked them off after FAMU did. The Florida boys got them L's on Jackson State. So I'm knowing, and I'm not going to say I'm hoping head coach T.C. Taylor and the coaching staff gets this situation fixed. But one other thing that I looked at was, like I said previously, the defense with the bad angles. It just, like I said, some guys out there on the field, they're just making business decisions. I'm going to be honest with you. Like I said before, guys, I've heard a lot of you guys in the comments where y'all say, Coach, you always make it sound like it's pie in the sky. Give it to us straight. Well, I'm giving it to you raw right now. There's a lot of folks out there that made some business decisions as far as not wanting to make tackles. I mean, the play is right there for you, and you got blown up out the daggone gap, not allowing yourself to be able to make that play. Matter of fact, you went in the wrong gap, in which if you'd have took the gap that you're supposed to go in, which should have been the B gap, if you'd have hit that gap, you'd have been right there looking at running back. You'd have been looking at Ishmael right there in his eyes, saying, okay, look, I'm about to break down to make this tackle. Now, if he got up in there and shook you out your daggone cleats, now we got another whole daggone story to talk about. But I'm just saying, these are the little things that's got to be fixed. But one thing I'll say is this. Jason Brown definitely got out there, showed up and showed out for the team in the game. Like I say, he had the Tigers offense moving the ball up and down the field. On the day, Brown threw the ball 26 times, completing 16 for 209 yards. He had 1 interception, and he was sacked 4 times. And like I said, also, there was a couple of times on those overloads where you had your tackles or your guard or whoever, whichever gap they were shooting, either they were coming off that wide 9, or you had somebody coming through that B gap that was shooting in between the guard, shooting in between the guard and the tackle on the inside, where they was just overloading there. And then once that guard committed and the tackle committed to somebody, guess what? You had somebody beeline right back there to the backfield to shut down the daggone play for Jackson State when they was trying to move the ball. Now, the rushing game for Jackson State, I got to give them their props on this because they rushed the ball 38 times for 118 yards. All of that being said, the young man that stood out in this game definitely was Ahmad Miller. This young man rushed the ball 13 times for 98 yards. Now, Miller, like I said, this young man is a beast running that ball because you had one of the Texas State guys come up and he tried to put that hit stick on him where he thought he was going to drop him. And Miller squatted on the hit and kept them legs going and ran through there for another 3 yards. So this young man, like I said before, a true freshman, they get him acclimated into that offense, allowing him to get more touches on that ball. Jackson State running game is going to be a problem to deal with. Moultrie and Mulligan, once again, they did their thing. I wish Moultrie would have got the ball a couple more times as well. I think he rushed the ball 3 times on the day. Mulligan rushed the ball, I think it was like 13 times for like 47 yards. I could be off on the yardage, so you guys forgive me on that if I am.